Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, please click like and subscribe. I create yoga, movement, and meditation videos, as well as little tips about self-care and how to get in touch with yourself. So this channel is really all about helping you create that self-awareness so you understand what type of a practice you need on a daily basis. Me as a practitioner of yoga and a teacher of 12 years in New York City, I used to think that the only way to be fit and stay fit was through dieting and through working out really vigorously most days of the week. Some days I used to exercise 2-3 hours a day. And what I realize is that that type of a practice is actually very depleting to our internal energy resources. As a Chinese medical practitioner, I go off of this idea that we are born with a certain amount of essence, the amount of energy that we inherit from our parents, from our ancestors. And that is something that is called prenatal qi, prenatal energy. And then we have the postnatal energy, which is how we get energy through food. And also another way to get energy is through practicing yoga, meditation, and these internally cultivating practices. However, most of us don't know what is the best practice for us until we become so in tune with ourselves and, like I said, create that self-awareness so we know deep down what is the practice for us for today. So today's class is actually a lazy man's yoga. If you haven't checked out my last class about self-care yoga, check it out here. And today's practice is very similar to that because I know there are days when I'm just lazy myself and I know that I don't want to do a hard workout. So little stretches throughout the day is all my body needs at times. So I hope you enjoy this practice as well and you use it on the days when maybe you don't want to move too much, maybe you are not up for a challenge. And if you need a little bit more of a vigorous practice, I have created many videos already, so feel free to check them out here on my Tao Dharma TV channel. There are classes that are more vigorous than the last few I've created. So let us begin. Today's practice will be on the floor, so you don't need any equipment. You don't even need a yoga mat unless you're on a wooden floor or tiles. So I have a carpet here, so a little bit of padding is always good. But we'll start in a seated position with our feet flat on the ground, about hip width apart, maybe a little bit wider. And bring your palms behind your hips. Open up your chest. And then from here, we'll just start to go into internal, external rotation of our hips. So just bringing the legs out to the side. And don't worry if you can't drop the knees all the way down. I want you to actually listen to your body and hear the cues that the body is sending to you. So if you feel a little tweaky in your medial knee as this knee drops, ease off. Don't push it all the way down to the ground. So let's just do a few more windshield wipers here. That's it. And then come back through center. Let's bring our feet together, knees wide apart, and we'll focus on the inner thigh stretch with this butterfly stretch. So as you draw the heels closer to your groin, towards your hips, towards your pelvis, you're going to feel more of a stretch on the inner thighs. So I'm going to draw the heels a little bit closer to me. And I remember when I was a kid, I used to do exercises for a ballet. For instance, one of my neighbors, she was dancing as a ballet dancer, and she would tell me how her teacher would actually step onto her knees to bring them down to the ground. Of course, that is very forceful, and My practice is to create ease in our body and not force ourselves to go into deeper positions than we're ready for. So if a little bit of fluttering here helps ease you into the position, go ahead. Otherwise, come into stillness, push your sitting bones slightly back. I have my palms on my ankles, and then I encourage you to slowly start to push with your elbows into your thighs as you shift your chest forward, as the torso starts to lean a little bit more forward. If you have more flexibility in your inner thighs and you want to go a little bit deeper towards the ground, go right ahead. For today, this is where I'm at, and I'm honoring my body and feeling this juicy sensation inside the hip socket, but on the inner thigh aspect, and feeling it into the inner thigh muscles, which we call the adductors, the muscles that bring the legs or the thighs together towards the midline. Okay, now to go into the outer hip, I reach my feet further away from my groin, and that way we're targeting the outer hip area, okay? So still folding forward, except now we have shifted the sensation of the stretch from the inner to the outer hips, okay? I'm gonna go a little bit deeper here, and I also want to encourage you to honor your body and just keep addressing what signals your body is sending you. How does this feel? Does this feel nice and juicy, or is there a pull somewhere where it doesn't feel good? So this practice of yoga and movement is really all about understanding our bodies better and staying in the present moment, because as soon as our mind starts to wander, as soon as our thoughts start to drift away, we are moving away from this present moment, and then we can't really hear what our body is telling us, and that's how injuries are more easily happening for my students and for people in general. So breathing here for a few more moments, and depending on how much time you have during this little session, you may move through the poses a little bit faster if you'd like, or you can stay in these positions a little bit longer. We'll roll back up to a seated position, and then I'll have my left leg out straight in front of me. My right ankle goes above my knee. And then here I bring my palms behind my hips. I bend my left knee, so my left foot is flat. And then I'll feel the sensation in my right outer hip, okay? Now, if you want to deepen, you can simply walk your left foot closer towards the sitting bones and shift your hips forward. So your right shin bone is closer to your chest. Notice if you're rounding and hollowing out in the chest, you want to open up your heart space by pushing into the floor. And then you can wiggle a little bit side to side. If this is too intense, again, feel free to ease off and move the foot further away from the body. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. So step the left foot out in front of you, release, stretch through the right leg, sit up nice and tall. Bring your left ankle above your right knee, opening up through that left hip. Bend the right knee, right foot flat, and then play with the distance that works for you. You should be feeling this in the left outer hip now. Keeping the chest open. And then again, if you wish, you can wiggle it around a bit. Some people, they store a lot of tension in the hips. Some people store a lot of tension in their shoulders. Some people both. Some people in their back. So as I create videos for you, I will be going through different body parts as well, even though I usually like to do a full body practice for myself. And then from here, we slowly release back out. So if you start to feel a little emotional During these classes where we focus on our hips, don't worry, that's not unusual. A lot of people experience that, and that is just a healthy release of emotions, okay? Now we'll go into a little bit of a different thing. We'll target a bit of our low back as well. So the right foot goes onto the inside of your left thigh, right knee out to the side. And this stretch is called Janyo Shashasana. So lift your chest up and focus your torso so it's pointing towards your left leg that's straight. If you need to bend the knee a bit, that is totally okay. And start to slowly fold over that straight leg. And in order to feel a little bit more of a stretch through the right low back, cross your right hand over to the outside of your left ankle, or maybe if you can go further, you can grab the outer edge of your left foot as well. And then the left hand crosses over on the inside of the left foot. And you can slowly start to let go of your head and neck, releasing into this nice stretch. The more you pull with this right hand and the more you shift your torso towards the left, the more you'll feel it in the right lower back. We're targeting here the QL, quadratus lumborum muscle, which is a deep muscle of the back. It's also one of the stabilizers of the spine, and also working on our hamstring stretch here as well. Good, and then from there, ease back up and simply switch legs. So right leg straight, left foot against the right inner thigh, left knee is out. Rotate your torso towards the straight leg, and again, if you need to bend this knee, totally fine. And then start to inch your way forward, folding over the right leg. I'm gonna bring my left arm across towards the outer right foot or ankle, and then I'll bring my right hand across to the medial aspect of my foot, and I fold forward, releasing the head and the neck. Staying here for a few breaths, really feeling the stretch in the left lower back area as well as the right hamstring. And then slowly lift up. We'll go into a straddle. So this position, it doesn't matter how wide you go. In time, you'll be able to have a wider straddle. You will feel this a lot more in your inner thighs. So today, we're clearly focusing on the inner thighs, outer hip area, while staying on the ground. I want you to bring your left arm on the inside of your left thigh, and then lengthen out through the torso as you reach your right arm overhead, side bending towards that left leg. So you'll feel the stretch through the right side waist, and simultaneously you'll feel the stretch through the left inner thigh. Breathing here, and the tendency here is to kind of collapse and round. See if you can open the chest and rotate the rib cage so you're a little bit more towards the sky. And then slowly lift that up and go right away to the other side. So right arm goes on the inside of the right thigh. And if you look like this, that's totally fine, you know. The only thing that you should take note of is if you're rounding like this and your sacrum is a rounding as well, instead of pushing the sitting bones back and lifting the chest up. So this is a better position than here, okay? So lifting up and then going into your side bend, reach the left arm overhead and focus on this side waist area. Okay, again, we're going into that QL, a little bit of the obliques and feeling the right inner thigh as well. If you notice that you're collapsing towards the floor, Try to engage your upper body and rotate the torso towards the sky. And then slowly lift up. And the last little thing we'll do is both legs straight. We call this a seated forward fold or Paschimottanasana. Again, feel free to bend your knees if you're just starting out this practice, and push the sitting bones back. So again, one of the most common mistakes I see in my students is rounding the back and trying to reach with your hands, okay? So this is not giving you a stretch through the hamstrings. It is giving you a little bit of a back stretch. But what we want to get out of this position is a full posterior stretch. So lift up through the chest, sitting bones go back, and again, knees can be bent, that's fine. And then from there, start to fold forward. And you're gonna start to feel this engagement through the back body, through your back muscles as well. And then here, if you can reach your feet, great. If not, you can grab onto the calves or even rest your palms on the floor. Totally fine wherever you are today. And breathe here, releasing into the floor. And after a few breaths, if you feel like you want to deepen and maybe the legs will lengthen, do engage through the quadriceps, the muscles of the inner thigh, because by engaging through the quadriceps, you're actually disinhibiting the hamstrings so they can actually let go of tension and you can feel a deeper stretch there. If we're simply pulling ourselves into this position, we can injure the hamstrings, tear them at the attachment points, and hamstrings take a very, very long time to heal, at least over 6 months. So be mindful with your body. I'll sound like a broken record, but it's all about mindfulness and self-awareness. And then from here, roll up. And we'll go into just a brief little resting pose or Savasana. So walk your feet out in front of you. You can lengthen the legs and then slowly start to roll down through your spine, going onto the floor with control. Bring your arms by your sides with the palms facing up towards the ceiling, and then just snuggle your shoulder blades a little bit more towards your spine. So your chest is nice and open, your pecs are open. And release your body weight into the floor. Feel the connection of the back body to the earth beneath you. Just notice how your body's feeling right now. Notice if thoughts are flooding you right now. And if so, if you can just return your intention back to your body and feeling your body from head to toes. Consciously softening and releasing. And relax your jaw as well if you have a tendency to tighten your jaw muscles and squeeze your teeth together. Notice that, and then try to create a little bit of space in your jaw, in your mouth, and the tongue is nice and loose. Good. And with the next breath, we'll slowly roll up into a seated position. And we'll close our practice. I hope you enjoy this lazy man's yoga for today, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye.